Back with another album review. And last time I said I was going to have a review on Wednesday, which I'm still going to do. Or my mom suggested I should take a look at Deconstructed from Bush. Now, this is actually a remix album consisting of remix versions of songs from Bush's first two albums. And of course, I already did reviews of these albums, which are actually really good. So I'll be sure to check them out when you get the chance. Now, the thing about Deconstructed is that it was recorded at Platinum Island Studios in New York and Bush 8-track in London, and it was released on November 11th of 97 under Trauma and Interscope. So it was made as a collaboration between Bush and various producers working with electronic music in order to create remix versions of songs that Bush had previously done. A lot of people have noticed that Bush went from post-grunge to experimental rock with this album, despite the fact this is not a studio album by any means. To be honest, I don't really care for remix albums or remixes in general, but I'm still going to talk about this album. This album debuted at number 36 on the Billboard 200. Unsurprisingly, this album got mixed reviews from critics. Now, to discuss the songs. This album starts with the Lassa Fever remix of Everything Zen. I like the original version of the song, but I don't like how this remix version came out. Next is the Stingray mix version of Mouth. Now, this is the only song on the album to get released as a single. The single was released on October 7th of 97, just over a month before the album was released. The original version of Mouth first appeared on Razorblade Suitcase, but that version never got released as a single. The Stingray Mix version, however, was featured in the film An American Werewolf in Paris around 97, though I never saw that movie. Next song is Goldie/Toasted Both Sides Please mix version of Swallowed. Now, I really like the original version, but I don't like this remix version at all. Besides, you don't hear much of Gavin Rossdale singing in this version compared to the original version. That is the Philip Steer / My Ghost in the Bush of Life mix of Synapse. After that is the Dub Pistols mix of his History. The next song is the Fabio Paris Soundclash Public mix of Personal Holloway. I really like the original version of the song, but I'm not a fan of the remix. Next is the Mekon / Beat Me Clever mix of Bone Driven. Needs to be mentioned is that the single version of Bone Driven has a few of the songs from this album. After that is the Jack Danger / Drum and Bees mix of Insect Kitten. After that is the Lunatic Calm mix of Come Down. Next song is another remix of Everything Zen. This time it's the Derek DeLarge mix. This album ends with the Tricky Mix version of In a Lonely Place. In a Lonely Place is actually a cover of a song from Joy Division. That cover originally appeared on the soundtrack for The Crow, City of Angels. However, I never saw that movie, nor do I own the soundtrack. Normally, I think it's bullshit whenever a Bush album gets mixed reviews from critics, but this is the only time where it actually makes sense. Don't get me wrong, I still like Bush, so much so that they are one of my personal favorite bands, but I think doing a remix album was a very good idea. Now, I don't mean to diss Bush because I don't blame them for how this album turned out. If anyone's to blame, it's the people who remixed the versions of the songs. The originals are good, but the remixes are not. That's why I don't care for remix albums. Overall, I don't really recommend buying this album. Instead, I recommend getting the studio albums that Bush did. If you want to get this album just to hear how it sounds, then go right ahead. My biggest complaint is that you don't hear a lot of vocals or guitar on this album. So I can't help but be disappointed with it. This isn't the last time Bush would touch upon electronic rock. Because 2 years later, they also would do the same on The Science of Things from 1999, which is a good album, and I recommend buying buying and listening to this album instead. So, I'll say what you want about the science of things, but at least this album approximates what you'd normally expect a Bush album to sound like. Deconstructed on the other hand, well, it does not. And that's all I have to say on this album. If you like the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified of future uploads. Leave a comment if you like. Thanks for watching. I'll be back on Wednesday with the better review of a better album.